Hello, this is Padge, and welcome back to another episode of Padge Plays Preview Edition with the game The Darkest Files by Paintbucket Games. Available as a demo right now as part of the Steam NextFest. Go check it out, wishlist it, do all that good stuff. At the end of the last episode, we were in the midst of interviewing, I don't want to say interrogating, interviewing Mrs. Naumann, whose husband... I had to think about that for a second, whose husband was killed by people. That's all we know so far. We're not quite sure who. We know they had something to do with the regime in Germany, but that's all we know. We also have hints that they have this son who may have torn down a Hitler flag, a Nazi flag. So let's carry on from there, shall we? Let's find out a bit more about her son.
What was that man's comment about your son?
Jan. He was living with us at that time, but he didn't show up that night or the following. He got into some trouble. Bad trouble.
Do you think the men were looking for your son?
I believe so, yes. At least that's what they said. But the previous when Jan finally came back, it was already too late. We asked the authorities about Hans, but they pretended not to know anything. After war, my husband was found dead in a forest nearby. Shot. I believe he died the same day they took him.
I would really like to talk to your son about it.
You and I both, dear. But I am afraid that's not possible. Jan died only a few months after his father. Pneumonia. Hans was innocent. They killed him, and that's murder. No matter what they call it.
I hear you, Mrs. Naumann.
Please, Miss Katz, will you find the man?
Well, we can only do our best.
I will do my very best.
Thank you.
We will let you know if we have enough for an indictment. Please, Paula will help you to the door. Goodbye. I should update Mr. Bauer.
Okay, well, that happened. It would appear that the father took the fall for the son, who ended up dying of pneumonia anyway. At least that is my interpretation of it as it stands right now. Let's just pop over to Paula.
Miss Katz. Miss Katz.
Why won't you talk to me?
Miss Katz.
Okay. Kind of thought I could come over here and maybe ask you a few more questions. Maybe, get you to do something with these files, or, I don't know, maybe empty your ashtray or something. Never mind. It's all right. Let's go and talk to Dr. Bauer.
Hello, Miss Katz. Any news regarding the Naumann case?
Yes, I think so. After talking to Mrs. Naumann, it seems like Hans Naumann was indeed innocent. The men were looking for his son, Jan Naumann. When they couldn't find Jan, they took Hans instead, the father.
I assume that's what Miss Naumann told you. But are you sure she is telling the truth?
According to the files, the man they were looking for had climbed up a flagpole, torn down a flag, and beaten up a block warden when he was caught in the act. Hans Naumann was 77 years old at the time. Of course, there are older men who are in good shape, but...
Pulling down a flag and beating someone up seems unlikely. I understand.
Yes.
I see, but why did the man take him, if they knew he was innocent?
Apparently they took him as a hostage.
According to Mrs. Naumann, they took him as a hostage. They were hoping his son, Jan, would surrender once he learned that they had his father.
Highly illegal, even back then. Not uncommon, though. But why did they shoot the old man?
Not sure of that yet.
That I don't know yet. But I believe this is definitely a case for us.
It is, indeed.
So what happens now?
I will officially reopen the investigations tomorrow. You need to find out who was at the crime scene when Hans Naumann was shot. We need witnesses.
I'd start with the names mentioned in the files of the first investigation.
Excellent. Let's get this case to court, Miss Katz.
Time to invite the suspects. And it would be good to know more about them.
That's where you come in.
That poor man. That poor woman. She lost everyone she loved in a matter of a few months. I really hope we can help her.
I hope so too.
Anything I can do?
Let's see if we got any more documentation.
I need some additional files.
Okay, that's not being said. I looked into the NSDAP local group for the original investigation.
Only a few documents survived the bombing, but I found a group photo and a member list from a few years before the incident. I took the liberty of marking the suspects. One of them, Mr. Schwarz, is dead.
Well, that was quick.
Just doing my job. Any other documents I can get for you?
Well, yeah, as much as we can get. Suspect personnel file sounds great.
The member list is helpful, but I'd still need something more about our suspects. Can you get me their files?
I'll reach out to the Berlin Document Center. But, just so you know, they tend to take their time.
Okay, so, fine. Can I just leave it at that?
Nothing for now, thank you.
Oh, okay. Something else? Do I want to invite a witness right away?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Well, we'll be seeing them all, so we'll start with Hermann Kiebitz, I guess.
Please invite Mr. Kiebitz.
We'll reach out immediately. Anything else?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
Cool.
There's
Right.
nothing left for me to do.
Well. Should we check in on people?
Esther, right? Sorry, Miss Katz. To what do I owe the pleasure?
I hope I'm not disturbing you.
Disturbing me? Perish the thought. I'm just so sorry about the mess here. I got a bit lost in a lecture. Either way, forget it. What can I do for you?
Yeah, messy. Do we ask questions? Do we just try and build a bond here? He seems nervous. Let's build a bond.
What's the book?
Oh, just academia. I try to keep up to date.
More specifically?
A bit more specific?
It's one of Adorno's new books. Too read for my taste, but, well, readable. But I shouldn't bore you with details. You probably didn't visit to talk about books.
Okay. About someone? About work? About work.
Can I ask you a few questions about the work here?
Ask away.
Okay. Who are you? Where'd you come from?
How long have you worked for Mr. Bauer?
Here? Almost since the beginning. Which sounds good, but really means just a few months. We are a new team.
And before that, what did you do?
3 years in Hamburg, public prosecutor's office as well. Didn't really fit in there. And before that, well, that's a different story.
Have you worked with Mr. Bauer before?
Didn't get the chance, no. And even here, it's not exactly working with him either. Under would be a better term. Usually, at least.
What can you tell me about working here?
Long hours, little pay, cases which more often than not fail to even reach court. But it's an important mission, and, ironically, rewarding. The cases we work on, they already have had to wait far too long.
I was a bit surprised we are not at the main office.
Right, Bauer's idea. To put it simply, he was and still is afraid of sabotage. Too many people there he wouldn't trust. Files went missing, evidence got misplaced. So he decided to rent this place and repurpose it. And here we are.
I have a
Alright.
different question. I have some questions about somebody.
Who would that be?
Well, yeah, let's do Paula, because I'm still itching to the fact that she was rustling around my desk when I first turned up. That doesn't sit right with me.
Our legal assistant, Paula.
She's wonderful. She can be a bit of a pain, but she's wonderful. Truth be told, the whole place would fall apart without her. But don't let her hear that.
Bit of a pain?
What do you mean she can be a bit of a pain?
You might have already noticed, but she can be rather, let's be honest, nosy? Unless you get something in a sealed envelope, it's safe to assume that she's already taken a peek. I don't personally mind, but I believe it can get on one's nerves.
What can you tell me about working with her?
You can rely on her. You need any files, if they still exist, she will be able to get them. And she takes the initiative. She'll start searching for them even before you realize you might need them. Which again? It might have something to do with how she reads through everything she can get her hands on.
Okay. Sounds like we rely on her a little bit too much.
This place falls apart without one legal assistant?
Without our only one. And that woman does the work of an entire team. Without complaining. Well, no, she does complain, but not earnestly. Just don't ask her for coffee.
Coffee?
Don't. Trust me on that.
I have a
Okay.
different question.
I mean,
I have some...
don't think I'm fussed by anyone else. Not fussed... Well, them? I mean, I see a picture of his son over there and all the pictures that he's drawn. I hope the game's not so dark that he's not around anymore. But, well. Let's see. I mean, he doesn't want to talk about his past. That's not good.
You, to be quite frank.
Then the answers might be quite boring. There just isn't that much to say. The name's Christoph. Again, I'm a public prosecutor, as you might have guessed. Though I'm more of a pre-trial one. Interviews, research, documents, not court. I never did well with trials themselves.
Where did you study?
You didn't study in Frankfurt, right?
Hamburg, mostly. Did a few years in Berlin first, but on the wrong side. Doesn't count here.
So you're from...
The East, yes. Don't hold it against me. Hardly my choice. And I've never been much of a comrade anyway. Too many books, not enough worker spirit.
I'm sorry for asking, but how did you end up here then?
I crossed before 52. It was easier then. No fences, no restricted zones. You just had to worry about the patrols.
Wonder if that means he's left his kid over there then. His family.
I have a different question.
I'm going to leave Mr. Bauer for the time
I
being.
think that's all for now.
Don't be a stranger.
Thanks, Christoph. Been a pleasure. Right, so. Do I need the toilet? No. Right, let's go and visit this guy. I'd rather go to the toilet, but never mind. Simon.
Katz.
Peters. I have some questions about work.
So,
How long have you been working here?
from the start, I reached out as soon as I learned Mr. Bauer was to be the general prosecutor. He needed the best, so I joined.
What can you tell me about the work here?
It's important, necessary, but it's exhausting. And very much unwanted by those outside of the team, if even that. And then there's the... No matter.
What did you want to say?
It doesn't matter. You'll find out yourself.
You sound disappointed.
Hardly. In myself, if anything. It's a tough job. It takes its toll. In more ways than I had expected.
Got it. Back to the work topic. One more question. I have some questions about somebody.
About whom?
Oh, not Paula. Okay, fair enough. About them then, I guess.
You, actually.
You want to talk about me? Should I feel honored?
I thought we had agreed on something.
Right, right. What is it?
I want to find out more about their background. They obviously know each other.
It's been a while since I've seen you.
Luckily,
Okay. Guess they don't get on.
Really, Peters?
continue. Sorry.
How have you been?
You do realize this is the most I've been well enough, Katz. Well enough.
Keep in touch with anyone?
Did you keep in touch with anyone?
From the university? No. We tried at first, but
Your winning personality?
They stopped because of your winning personality?
didn't you say we had agreed on something? We exchanged some letters with Walter, Ziegler,
They're in Bavaria, right?
Munich. Still, over time, we just stopped. Then I took up this position, and the few people that were left started avoiding me like a leper.
Do we ask? Let's ask.
And how's... You were engaged, right? Julia?
You did. It didn't work out. We didn't see eye to eye on some issues.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Not anymore.
Alright, what do you do?
What do you do here?
Same as you. Get a case, work it, get it to court, win. We all work on separate cases, if that's what you meant. Usually, at least. It's just, there's so many of them. And there's so few of us. And there's nowhere near enough time.
One more question.
I think I'm done. I'm okay about Mr. Bauer at the moment. I mean, if anyone's going to be the people who's the purist doing the job, it is going to be him. He set it all up. So I don't really care to know too much about him. It's very clean, this room. Nothing out of place. Hey-ho.
Thank you. That's all.
Alright, well, I'd best go to bed, I guess. I mean, there's nothing else going on here. So, good night, Paula. Have a good evening. Yeah. Goodbye. Got no coat. Goodbye. The first suspect. Let's go check in with our mate Paula.
Good morning, Miss Katz. Miss Katz. Miss Katz.
Why can't I talk to you?
Miss Katz. Miss Katz.
Guess she's got nothing interesting to say. Okay, let's crack on, shall we? Oh, more stuff. Suspect's background, what we got? So, Alfred Faultman, Hermann Kibitz, Karl Schickert, and Schwartz is dead. Gone. So, those guys. That all we got? Well, this looks like, I mean, going from the pictures, these were the two in the memory. But who am I to presume? Right, so, essentially, just what we've gone through already. Yeah, nothing new there. We've done the structure bit. Got a police report. That's it, really. There's I was thinking I'd get a bit more than that, but oh,
Miss Katz, excuse me. The witness you asked me to contact, Hermann Kibitz, he has just arrived.
Thank you, Paula. I'll be joining you in a minute.
all right.
Who do
Can I
I
call
wanna
anyone?
call?
Can I call anyone? Let's call Mr. Bauer.
He's not.
Alright, he's not picking
Who
up.
do I want to call?
Daddy!
The line is busy.
Oh, guess we're not talking to anyone. What's going on today? SS for the Armed Forces. Former National Socialist officers from the Waffen-SS are being drafted back into the reorganised armed forces. With their new ranks being aligned with their former positions, some question if this decision risks silencing the Waffen-SS dark past. A Prussian welcome. King Paul and Queen Frederica of Greece arrived in Bonn last Monday morning, marking the beginning of their state visit to Germany. The third monarchs to be received in the Federal Republic's history, the royal couple was the first to be welcomed with military honours. Missing from the event was Duchess Victoria Louise, the Queen's mother, which did not escape the onlookers' notice. No end in sight for the Suez Crisis. As the representatives of the 18 governments involved in the Second Suez Canal Conference begin to leave London, the truth remains unchanged. Despite the exchanged assurances of continued support and collaboration, the world is no closer to finding a peaceful solution to the ongoing crisis. Oh dear. President Adenauer? Is the CDU leadership considering Adenauer for the next federal president? A radio outer space exploring the Milky Way? Astropila Stockert, the largest radio telescope on Earth? And Della says no. FDP will not be considering any possibility of a coalition with the CDU. And some sweeties too, which is always nice. Right, so I haven't really got much else to do here. I best we go. Still raining. Best get my words out. We best go and see this witness/suspect. You can talk to me now.
Good luck with the first suspect, Miss Katz.
I really hope I can make him bring some light into this.
You will manage, I have no doubt.
Thank you, Paula.
My pleasure. Miss Katz.
That's it. That's all she's going to say to me. Fine. Let's crack on then. You know, for someone who's very talkative, you don't like talking a lot. Just saying. Just saying.
Good morning. My name is Esther Katz.
A pleasure, miss. Could you tell me how long I have to wait for the prosecutor?
Mr. Kiebitz, I'm the prosecutor here.
Oh, modern times, I guess. How long will this take?
It will take as long as it takes.
It's all right, miss. I'm just asking.
Let's get started, shall we? This is about the arrest of Hans Naumann in Munich on April 28, 1945. According to a witness, 2 men picked up Mr. Naumann from his apartment. Were you one of them?
You're pretty, you know that?
Mr. Kiebitz, were you one of those men?
No, I wasn't. We drove to the house. Then our group leader and Mr. Schickert got out of the car to arrest the man. Then they tossed the old man into the car and headed to the district office. After we put him in the cell, I waited in the hallway talking to Mr. Schickert.
The district office. Where was it located?
We just had moved it into the basement of an old brewery. Still stuffed with beer bottles and barrels. The higher-ups decided it would be a safer place for us. With all the Yank air raids, Group leader Fartman went into the district leader's office.
What was the name of the district leader?
Herbert Schwarz.
Could you hear what they were saying?
Only after they came out of the office. District leader Schwarz came out and gave the command.
What command? What did he say?
He ordered us to execute the man. Then he left. I felt uneasy. This wasn't right.
Alright, let's have a look-see around. What we got here?
How many people were in your local group?
Around 10, but we were never all present at the same time due to shifts and different responsibilities.
Why did you relocate the office?
Because of a big air raid. We wanted to be underground. We hoped that we would be safer there.
What were your local group's responsibilities in the very last days of the war?
We were responsible for all concerns and for many households within Munich. Above all, we tried to eliminate insurgencies.
Okay.
Were there any other prisoners at that time?
Obviously, yes. We had to put the traitors somewhere. We adapted part of the storage rooms as cells.
Spending entire days in a damp cellar. They must have been bored and tried to pass the time. With the district office being a brewery, you helped yourself to the stocks?
Of course not. How could you assume something like that?
What he said and what was written were two completely different things.
They must have had drinks from the supplies. Never on duty. Who would believe it?
Alright. Oh.
Were summary executions common?
In those days, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go back on myself, just double check.
They must have had petrol to run the generator. Or to destroy evidence.
Now we can see through cells. It's always worth having a look. Can we open up any lockers? No. Oh, let's go into here, I suppose. Nothing at all? I'm guessing that is all that we can do here, but there's probably an additional interview we need to do where all this will become opened up. That's my guessing.
We followed group leader Falkman to the cell. There was tension.
I can still hear the sirens in my head. They seem to last forever. But it may just have been a minute full of despair. If you survived it. Was your local group in contact with other local groups?
Just in Bavaria, there were 28 local groups. We were in constant contact with them.
How did you ensure the energy supply?
The district struggled to produce enough energy. There were frequent power failures. For emergency, we had a generator. If worst came to worst, we used oil lamps.
I'm just going to go double check that room before we go any further. Did the smoke clear up? No, it didn't. Okay, that's alright. I don't want to miss anything. Let's crack on.
Could you describe the cell?
Very basic. Mattress, window, chair.
What was Mr. Falkman doing?
Group leader, he told us to wait.
My bad.
Yet Schickert insisted. He referred to that new order about dealing with insurgents. He was such a stickler for the rules. He could be really annoying about these things.
What did he say?
He insisted that any delay would constitute treason.
Were the compartments prepared to host prisoners?
Kind of. We adjusted them, so our prisoner could stay there for interrogations and not get out.
Being locked in a cell like this, not knowing what would happen next. This must have been so hard. For how long were the prisoners held in these cells?
Mostly around a week.
That's it.
The tension was strong. Group leader Faltman ordered us to wait once more, but Schickert drew his gun and shot him.
Well, that's it. We know who did it. Gotta make sure there's nothing else here before we crack on. I'm presuming we're walking out there now. Still smoky. Alright, we're done.
So what you are saying is Schickert shot the old man against Mr. Feldman's order?
Exactly.
That's horrible.
These are brutal events you're getting to hear here. Are you sure you're up for it? Honestly, no one would think this is a job for a woman. What do you have to prove? I will file a formal complaint.
What a dick.
That will not be necessary, Mr. Kiebitz. My superior knows quite well that I am up for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this job. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kiebitz.
Goodbye, Miss Katz.
I should update Mr. Bauer.
You gotta remember, this is back in the 50s, you know, it's a different way of thinking. Have you got anything to say to me?
So, I have done some digging beforehand
Yes?
and found something potentially useful for you. The brewery's blueprint. I put it in your office, on the cork board. I thought it might help you to have more of a physical understanding of the crime scene.
I'm sure it will. Thank you, Paula.
Okay. Have a quick look at that before we hit up Bauer with what's going on. Welcome to your reconstruction board. Your task is to reconstruct your own theory of the crime by comparing the statements of the witnesses. Okay. The blueprint displays the crime screen. The cellar where the victim was killed. All people involved are placed as figures on the board. The crime is divided into 5 steps, displayed here in the timeline. A substantial part of the reconstruction is to decide who was there and did what in each step. Let's start editing. Click on the tools icon or press the corresponding button on your controller. Controller. In this mode, you can edit your own theory. Try it out. Select the figure of Mr. Naumann and choose the cell to place him in. Great. This figure is now placed for the first time step and will stay there unless told otherwise. The stories of your suspect will not always match each other. On the right, you can see how each of them describe the events of this step. For now, you only interviewed one suspect, so there's only one version. You can view it by selecting the suspect in the window on the right. Spoke in the hallway of Mr. Snicket while Mr. Feldman was in the office with the district leader, Mr. Schwartz. So he was in there with him. We'll put you to there. No, I can't move you around in that. You're just there. Okay, fine. Did you see how the witness's statement changed to step 2 as well? Position your figure as again accordingly. So Mr. Feldman and District Leader Schwartz stepped down to the hallway. So you're in there. You're in there. Next one. Yeah, we remember what we're doing that. Mr. Feldman ordered Mr. Schickert and me to follow him into the compartment where Mr. Nunn was held captive. So Feldman, Schickert, and Kiewitz. Then Mr. Feldman saw the victim and refused the order. Mr. Schickert insisted that the order of a higher ranking member must be followed and threatened as Gestapo. Schickert carried out the order and shot Mr. Naumann against Mr. Feldman's will. I saw it with my own eyes. Okay, so that is fine. Okay. And that's where they stay. Cool. Great, and we're already halfway there. Besides reconstructing the movement of the figures, there's some steps it's important to know who has done what. To bring the case to court, you need to answer Mr. Bauer's questions. You find them here on the right. To answer them, you'll have to assign actions to your figures. On some steps above the timeline, you see these little indicators. This means there is a question connected to it. Go to step 2 and reopen the edit mode. Okay. The bottom right is the question connected to the step. Who gave the order to execute the victim? Select a figure and assign the action by pressing it. How you do it? Select a figure and assign the action by pressing... Oh, right, so you. Right, okay. Does it match what your suspect says? Yes, it does. Shorts. Yep. If you ever think you made a mistake in your theory, simply click on the arrows above or use the undo button on the controller. Now you have movement and an action applied to your theory. Press and play and see how it plays out. Okay. You can continue building your theory, however, you do not yet know whether the witness you questioned was telling the truth. If you want to return later, just close the board and your changes will be saved automatically. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Interesting. I like that. That's something I wasn't expecting. Quite unique. Better gonna have a word with Bossman Bauer.
Miss Katz, what brings me to the honor of your visit?
I interviewed our first suspect. Have you read the transcript?
I did. How did it go?
Well, this Mr. Kiebitz. Let me put it this way. I have met newts who were more likable.
But we're not having a sympathy contest, are we, Miss Katz?
No, we're not.
No, of course not.
I know how you feel, but I can say from experience, it's better to ignore it. Besides him being an unpleasant fellow, what do you think about Mr. Kiebitz?
Kiebitz says he saw how his colleague Schickert killed Mr. Naumann. And according to him, Schickert shot even against the express order of the superior Feldman.
And he's telling the truth.
Can't tell. We haven't really spoken to anyone else yet, have we?
Maybe, maybe not. At the current stage of the investigation, it is impossible to say conclusively.
I agree. This means you have to investigate further. Of course, what he says could be true, but he could also try to cover up his own involvement. Either way, I see 3 further questions we need to answer. First question, who shot Mr. Naumann? Who did pull the trigger? Was it really Mr. Schickert who pulled the trigger and executed the victim? Or is Kiebitz lying? Second question. Mr. Kiebitz claimed that his superior, Feldman, had refused the order by District Leader Schwarz to execute the prisoner. It might be relevant to clarify whether this is true. And thirdly, the witness testifies that Mr. Schickert threatened to inform the Gestapo about the insubordination. Whether this is true or not is up to debate, but either way should be investigated. Threatening others could be considered coercion in court and, in case of doubt, also affect the verdict. If you found an answer to all of these questions, we should be able to build a solid case.
Good luck, Miss Katz. He's not going to say it. I might as well. Okay, so. Well. Can I have a word with Nosy?
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
So, any more documents for me, Paula?
I need some additional files.
Something specific?
Any updates on the suspect's personnel files?
I've made the request, but no news since then. Berlin's as silent as always.
Alright, let's get another witness in then.
I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Could do with Faltman, really, but Schickett, I suppose, for the time being.
Please invite Mr. Schickett next.
We'll reach out immediately.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go. Long day. Time to hit the hay. A different truth. 27th of September 1956, and that is where we're going to leave this episode. It's been quite a long one. We're opening up more of the game, and I am still very interested in this and happy to carry on playing through it and see where it leads. I was worried that we'd get bogged down in the fact that it's based around crimes done during World War II and being caught up in the furore of all that. However, the way that this game has been presented, it could be in any city investigating any crime. The way that this has been brought up to fruition with the mechanics in place, this could go anywhere with it, you know, in anything. 1920s Chicago, you know, do a proper noir type story. I'm really interested. I'm very much enjoying this at the moment, so we shall continue to play it. So thank you for watching. As always, a like is appreciated, and I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy.